Welcome to the second episode in a Legendarium series about the history of alchemy. In part 2, Readying for Armageddon, we will talk about how medieval Christian scholars adopted the ancient and pagan science of alchemy. With the fall of the Roman Empire, the pursuit of human knowledge suffered greatly. Since even nobles tended to be illiterate during the early Middle Ages, only monks could preserve ancient knowledge unrelated to the Bible. Nearly all literate people in medieval Europe served the church, which made it the center of scientific research. In Scotland, one monastery discovered herbs that could staunch bleeding and stifle hunger for days on end. An 11th century friar named Elmer of Malmesbury designed wooden wings and tested them by jumping from a tower. The experiment ended with him breaking both his legs and the abbot forbidding any further flights. Other monks, toiling away at their desks, preserved ancient texts about alchemy and put a Christian spin on the science. They saw gold as a perfect metal. If they could perfect a base metal like lead into gold, then surely they could return humanity to the perfection lost in the Garden of Eden. If they did that, humanity would be restored to immortality and innocence. Scholars became especially fascinated with mercury, whose properties reminded them of gold's immutability. Yet they knew that the church hierarchy regarded alchemy with ambivalence at the best of times. So they hid their writing amid strange images within books, like salamanders wreathed in fire and a man and woman fused together. This alchemical imagery even made its way into medieval churches. Notre Dame Cathedral includes images of a soldier fighting an invisible enemy and a scholar working with a flask. These are not Christian images, but alchemical ones, worked in by monks pursuing the ancient art in the medieval church. Medieval alchemists expanded the idea of Aristotle's four earthly elements to include natural spirits to represent each group. Gnomes represented the earth, sylphs stood in for air, nymphs spoke for water, and salamanders made fire. Each lived somewhere between 300 and 1,000 years, living in harmony as they did not cross into each other's worlds. One of the most distinguished scholars of this age is Albertus Magnus, a Catholic saint and academic in philosophy, chemistry, zoology, and physiology. Magnus is mostly known for preserving the ideas of Aristotle, which he commented on frequently. Later generations compiled Magnus's works into a massive 38-volume encyclopedia. During the 13th century, an English Franciscan friar named Roger Bacon studied mathematics, astronomy, optics, languages, and of course alchemy during the 13th century. He became the first European to describe the process of making gunpowder, and he proposed the invention of flying machines and motorized ships and carriages hundreds of years before they would be invented. Bacon, as he himself immodestly remarked, displayed prodigious energy and zeal in the pursuit of experimental science. This eventually won him a place in popular literature as a wonder worker and forerunner of empirical science. Unfortunately, during his own time, dark rumors began to spread about his laboratory. People whispered that Bacon summoned the devil, built a talking brass head, and designed a mirror which showed the future. He did not help his cause by saying that blood would help to produce the philosopher's stone, the substance believed to transmute lead into gold. In time, the Pope placed Bacon in prison for several years on charges of heresy. He would be released before his death to publish a work on mathematics. Around the year 1300, Pope John XXII ended alchemical research in the Church and declared those who practiced it to be criminals. Yet alchemists continued their research at their own peril. Ironically, Roger Bacon believed that the apocalypse would begin in his time and that the Antichrist would soon come to Earth, and he believed he could help ready the church for a final battle by gathering together all human knowledge. A French scholar named Jean Desroches shared Bacon's fears about the coming of the end times. Born around 1310 in the Auvergne, he attended the University of Toulouse and became a Franciscan friar. Jean belonged to a group of reformers called the Spirituals, who became caught up in apocalyptic fervor and a fondness for prophecies. Like Bacon, many French spirituals believed that the Antichrist would appear in their time. Jean argued that despite its fears, the church would need every form of help to withstand the Antichrist, including the alchemy that church leaders distrusted. Roger Bacon, also a Franciscan friar, had written to the Pope 60 years earlier that the church would need mathematical, scientific, technological, and medical knowledge to resist Satan's assault. In his work, Jean describes a series of sublimations of mercury using vitriol and saltpeter. Despite the apparently clear directions, however, Jean's first step would not work in a modern laboratory. The snow-white sublimate that Jean described making is mercuric chloride. Therefore, the starting mixture must have included salt, a substance not mentioned in Jean's list of ingredients. Nonetheless, in seeking a substance that would prevent decay, Jean created aquavitae. Jean believed that aquavitae could be turned to medicinal purposes that would fortify the armies resisting the Antichrist. During Jean's life, another French alchemist claimed to have finally found the Philosopher's Stone after 1,000 years of searching. On February 17, 1382, a manuscript copyist named Nicolas Flamel in Paris claimed to have made mercury into gold. Despite being a man of modest means, Flamel and his wife endowed 14 hospitals and 3 churches. How did he do it? Could he have discovered the Philosopher's Stone? Sightings of him and his wife took place in Paris long after they died. Witnesses claimed that the couple never aged and had a golden luminescence in their very skin. The legend of Nicolas Flamel proved potent enough that as late as 1818, a man claiming to be Flamel appeared in Paris coffee houses, offering to share the secret of immortality for a price, of course. That wraps things up for this episode of The Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.